How's it going?
Check, check. Hey, man.
How's it going? How are you? Oh my God, how long? Too much, too long.
Fine.
How's everyone?
Fine. How are you?
here.
Thank you so much.
Good, good. Is I have to understand if it is my internet connection. Can you hear me and see me fine?
You sound great. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Because there is a little bit of lag.
Can hear you. I can see you.
Great, great.
Thanks a lot. Great.
Thank you.
How's everything going, Giovanni?
It's good. I just can't shake this cold off after almost 2 weeks. I have no idea what bacteria I have gotten, but it's crazy. It's like I just can't shake this thing off. It's not COVID. It's not COVID. I have no idea what the hell is this.
Are you still sleeping developer hours? Like that hacker schedule is really bad for curing colds, I've heard.
I had to cut the hours trying to get more rest in, and still no. still not recovering. So, but
well,
yeah.
it's really good to have you here today. And I know we're already recording, so just to frame what we're doing here. And I'm getting an echo. Maybe here. Let me just. So usually we do Playground on Tuesdays, and for both convenience reasons, because we're all juggling not just these revolutionary hacker lifestyles that we're trying to live, but often our families as well. We for logistical reasons, here we are with a Playground presentation on a Wednesday, but it really works perfectly because this is something I'm just so excited for everybody who's been studying Cardano development in Plutus PBL to see. I think what you have to share with us today, Giovanni, is super relevant to some of the problems we've been working on. And so I'm really excited just to give everybody a chance to hear it from you, and then to see where the conversation takes us as we think about the implications for a couple of different projects that people have been working on. So welcome.
Sure.
Yeah, and we go way back, but maybe give you a chance to introduce yourself first for folks you haven't met yet, and then we can jump into the main part of the presentation.
Sure, absolutely. I am really happy to be here, and even though the concept I'm going to be explaining today can seem a little bit complicated, at the end of the day is actually fairly straightforward. Also because like the heavy lifting has been done by Sebastian Guillermot, like guess who, like one random guy from the Cardano ecosystem. So who am I? My name is Giovanni. I am a software engineer with about 17 years of experience. I worked for the first 3 years in Italy, and then I moved to Ireland. And that was fantastic because the tech that there is in this place was miles ahead what we had in Italy. And yeah, so I've been always looking into blockchain technologies since the very beginning. I think I found out about Bitcoin 2-3 years later that it started. So always fascinated about this technology, but I never found a project during those years that really took my breath away until 2020 and the Shelly upgrade. And I was just like I left Cardano in 2017 after finding about it. I was just like, this is so beautiful, all the research paper and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, a lot of things was done. I was just like, this is beautiful. I want to get my hands dirty. And that was the very first time in 13 years that I was aware about blockchains, that I really felt like I really wanna do more in this space, because that's the real potential is. And so fast forward 2 years, I am the CEO of a company that is using machine learning to find fake NFTs. I have my own stake pool. I follow lots of the things that are happening into the ecosystem. I have a small Italian community that I try to keep updated with all the things Cardano, and I have made a ton of friends, like incredible friends, of which James obviously is one of them. Roberto obviously is another one. And I am sure that I'm going to be friends with you as well in the close future.
Yes, I'm joining you definitely.
And yeah, I think that's like the 3 minutes introduction about 17 years of development history.
That was
And,
really efficient by playground standards. Thank you.
oh yeah, I know it's beautiful to have like lots of conversation, but sometimes you also have to keep straight to the point, right? And it's funny because this presentation started in a room talking with James and Roberto, because we were Dandelion was just born, and we were like, how can we think about monetizing? Like we have to identify users and customers, right? How can we authenticate users into the system? And so it was the very beginning of the Shelley era. I think it was like September, October, or something like this. And we were like, how can we bring blockchain identities outside of chain? Like when Allegra was released, I think can't remember if it was Mary or Allegra with the metadata. It's like, can we really leverage the metadata and capture information about the users in there? So the first version of the proposals that I came up with a proposal with Roberto and James. The proposal was funded with an original design. Obviously, with the time, lots of improvements were released, and instead of like being a proposal of 3 months, ended up being a proposal of a year. But then the end result was absolutely beautiful. So I'm really happy and proud of the work that has been put by myself and other people within the community, because as you will see, the solution is extremely elegant and is very powerful and secure as well. So long story short, we wanted to find, and here I think it's worthwhile. If James, if I'm ready to start, I'm gonna take it away. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just looking for a confirmation. You can see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
Cool. So what we wanted really was a blockchain authentication mechanism, something that was like a login, a sign up methodology that was blockchain friendly. And by blockchain friendly, I mean a way of bringing like, I know that we have distributed identity, decentralized identities, but when I talk about identity, in this case, I don't talk about that type of identity. I talk more about like something that exists on the blockchain, and then I want to prove I own something on the blockchain into the outside world. So that's where the situation is. Let's start from the situation first. So wallet keys are composed by public and private key. Obviously, we all know this. I'm stating the obvious, but it's important to start from here. In case of Cardano, from the public key, we can derive multiple addresses. On other blockchain, there is a one-to-one. So one public key is just one address. That's the case of Ethereum. And obviously, the private keys allow to sign spending transaction. And that's basically all of it. That's where we start from. So and then there is the opportunity. It would be nice to demonstrate off-chain that we own a wallet. So how can I demonstrate the ownership of a wallet? And it would also be nice that once that I demonstrate that I own a wallet or anything within it, and I'll get to this in a minute, it would be great if we could grant permission to access secured resources or private resources to such users. So I say, I own this wallet, and I go to someone, to a server, and say, look, I can demonstrate that I'm the owner of this wallet. And the server goes like, yes, I can see that. And then they give me like a secret token that only I have and that matches back to my user. And I can use this token to access private pages on their server, like if it was, I don't know, a mail server, for instance, or whatever. And then possible authentication scenarios are the following one. Like this comes really from the way in the Web 2.0 space, I use my emails, right? So if I have to use a dodgy website, it's like, this website is cool, but do I really trust the owner of this website? You know what? I don't want to give my email, my private email. I'll use a new email, right? And I'll sign up on this server. So think about, I don't want to tell this guy my things. I'll just create a new wallet that is empty, that contains nothing, and I use this wallet to authenticate on this server. So you can think about this like kind of an anonymous type of login. Or actually, let me do this. Demonstrate this. So I'll put it on at the end. I'm gonna edit the presentation while I speak. Or the second thing that I want to say, let's say I'm at a whale, and one day the guy goes like, I really want to demonstrate that I own at least 1 million ADA. This is just like for the sake of argument. Is there a safe way of demonstrating I own a wallet with a certain amount of ADA into it? Yes, there is, and I'm going to be explaining. So that this is like a possible scenario. Or, and this is, I think it's really, really cool, and we're going to be seeing this into this presentation today. Can I demonstrate, excuse me, can I demonstrate that I own either a certain amount of a specific token, think Hosky. Are you a Hosky billionaire? That would be a fun thing to demonstrate. Or do I own, or I don't know, the Gimbal token? Am I a Gimbal billionaire? Or do I own a specific NFT? Obviously, we've seen the rise of ADA handle. That is a super powerful NFT these days. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could grant access to a specific portal, to a specific website, and sign up with your ADA handle and say, look, I don't want your username and password. You just sign up with your Cardano wallet, and then you'll be on this portal one of the ADA handle you own. And yes, this is possible. Last but not the least, and we've been talking about this a little bit in with the Gimbalabs people. It's like the demonstration of historical transactions. So let's say that you have access, you want to grant access to Dandelion to people that are, I don't know, Gimbalabs billionaire, or that have purchased or burned a certain amount of the specific token. You can still do this by demonstrating ownership of a wallet. So, and with this, I've listed all the opportunity. Before I go into more details, are there questions? I'll take it as a no. I also took the occasion to drink a little bit of the tea. So the resolution. At the beginning, the resolution was a very cumbersome, but yet functional way of bouncing metadata back and forth to grant access to a person via submitting some transaction, right? I don't even want to explain because like it was like a 20 lines diagram, right? And then 6 months later, Sebastian Guillermot came up with this CIP8 that that obviously has been published, is available here on cips.cardano.org. There is the full list of all the CIPs, and there is the number 8. As you can see, Guillemot, too many R's I put into his name. But anyway, so basically this is just like a random generic message signing. So I won't go into too many details about this thing, but there is, let's read the abstract. Private keys can be used to sign arbitrary data. If you have the public key, you can verify the data was signed by the owner of the private key. This is how transaction signing works internally, but it's not, but its utility is not limited to transactions. This document tries to set a standard for how to represent and verify signed messages on Cardano. So here it says pretty much everything. It says like at the end of the day, this is encryption. You have a public key, you have a private key. The use of this technology on the blockchain is only one of the many uses, but we can use this thing for signing arbitrary data, everything that can be represented with bytes, literally. And in fact, here, even look at the motivation. Proving ownership of a set of addresses, possibly to prove ownership of more than X ADA, proving ownership of addresses used in a transaction, proving ownership of an identity or other off-chain data with a public key attached to it. That's it. This basically summarizes really nicely what I was talking about. I just want to go down to, there was a nice signing and verification. The data is just a small payload. It's like it's a bunch of things organized into 2 or 3 different parts. I think the most important thing is the so-called message to sign. At the end of the day, into this place, you can put whatever you want, right? And we'll come up with something clever to put into this message for a number of reasons. But literally, this can be anything. This can be like whatever you want, because what's really important is that in here, you need to declare what your public key is. You need to sign it. And so here is the protected part. And here is the signature. The important thing is the signature, because the signature tells me what my public key is on the blockchain. And then if the signature is consistent with what I put into the message, then I am demonstrating I am the owner of a wallet, I am the owner of a public key to which a wallet maps to. Is that clear? Are there questions? Are you all asleep?
Just minds being blown one at a time.
We
Giovanni,
are
just-
thinking
oh, go ahead.
and digesting.
And Giovanni, just to give you context, one of the things we've been studying in the Plutus PBL course is, that using a browser-based wallet, you can show on the web page that somebody owns a token and you can conditionally render a site. But this takes it another level, right? What we haven't seen yet is the ability to protect information in any way. So that's why it's so exciting to be starting to move towards this.
Yeah, this is also a very important mechanism, because whenever you connect the wallet, don't forget that you can spoof the wallet and inject anything. Like I can say that I'm the owner of whichever address, like you still need to prove it. And this is the way of doing it. Like you're basically adding a verification mechanism, signing mechanism that only the owner of the private key can consistently sign a message and then prove the ownership of something. So if this thing is clear, I would move on. Can I move this thing somewhere else? I would move on. I think this is the resolution is the last step. So in this solution that I'm about to demonstrate, I'm leveraging CIP8, obviously. CIP8 was implemented obviously straight away into the Cardano serialization lib. That is a Rust project migrated to JavaScript as well, so on and so forth. But I'm using the Java implementation. And so here, big kudos go to Satran Sataya from the Cardano community as well. He's like an unbelievably clever guy that did this job for me. We worked on this thing together. The CIP8 is integrated into most of the wallet. They just implement this CIP in kind of a different way. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to be using NAMI, because they implemented the latest and greatest version of the CIP. I really hope Eternal are going to migrate to this soon as well, because it's a little bit painful to gather for two different ways. This one I already said. And then the example that I'm going to be showing is basically the ADA handle login. So first of all, the code that I'm going to be show is available at the, I think it was in the Argos NFT Web3 Auth. So this project is split into two parts. There is the source that is in Java, and then there is the view app that is basically the 300 lines of code where I'm integrating the wallet. And in the source, there is basically the backend code to verify the signature, while in the view app, there is the code to actually sign the data. And I also put together this small standalone one-page web app where I am showing what the hell is going on. So I'm going to refresh and just start from scratch so that nodding is done before. So the first thing we want to say, let's pretend that this website has a publicly accessible content, and then here there is secret, password protected or secured content, right? So you can see the console here on the bottom right. If I try to hit the public, it says status 200. There is no JWT token, so we don't need to be authenticated. We try to access those data. The text says it's okay. Obviously, there we go, yes. JWT token is null. The secured endpoint gives me 401, it is unauthorized. The status, of course, the number is 401, and the text says nothing because you're not authorized. So let's connect our wallet. So this is the first time that I'm collecting this thing. This is my NAMI wallet. There is Big Joe written here. I'm going to be granting access to my localhost. And that's it. The first step is done. Now, we have a different type of authentication. There is, in this demonstration, I'm just using base address. So I just want to say that I am the owner of an address. or that I am an owner of a ADA handle. So behind the scene, once that I fetch the base address, I'm going to block Frost, and I should have really used Dandelion, but in this case, you would all please forgive me. I'm still online. Yes, James hasn't kicked me out yet. But anyway, using block Frost, I'll go. I see he's laughing. I'll go on the ADA handle, and I see that there is one ADA handle in my wallet. It's called the best SPO. So first of all, let's check that I'm not lying to you guys. Actually, I think I broke this thing down. Oh, there we go. Best SPO. This is the ADA handle into the collectible. So I am really the owner of best SPO. And because this is like the nicest way of doing the login, I'm going to go straight away with this. So I hit the login button, and there we go. I am prompted for the wallet. Now, this step is fundamental. Like it really looks like I'm signing to pay a transaction, but I am not paying for any transaction. I'm just using the wallet in the most secure way. I could have a ledger here. I could have a Trezor here, or just a password protected wallet. But I am doing exactly the same steps as if I was signing for a transaction. But obviously, I'm not spending anything. So here, whenever we are doing this thing, we need to be also very careful that nobody is spoofing this thing and is injecting transaction in a similar website, in a copycat website. So this raises some security concerns as well. So I just want to raise this thing here. But like here is very evident. This app requests a signature 4. And this is the payload that I am passing. So I want the user to sign this thing. So let's read what I'm writing here. So what I'm writing here, so first of all here, I am stating, and there is no definition for this, like this is really up to you guys. But like be clever that the data that you're putting here, they also have to make some sense to you, so that whoever is signing this thing is really demonstrating something that is relevant to you. So for instance, my simple app, my simple backend keeps a trace of the timestamp, and then the sign up, the signing method. So here there should be, or I recommend to put the website you're trying to authenticate against. So in this case, like imagine that instead of being localhost here, my server was called Web3 Auth, coolwebsite.com. This is gonna protect the user from replay attack, right? If someone else is using the same technology as you, but on another website, by just customizing the message, you know that sign up wasn't for your website or for your web server, and you can just push it back. It's like, yeah, this all looks good to me, but F off, you're trying to replay attack this signature on my server, so go away already. Or you can put some policy about timeout. So the second field is the timestamp. If you put this into the epoch time Unix, so on and so forth, it tells you this is September 21st, 1454 UTC. So if you say, if by any chance the clock of the wallet was, the clock of the server was before or after, you can say, hey, are you trying to spoof me or whatever? And then here there is the authentication method, right? Like you need in this signing message to explicitly say how the guy is signing. So let's cancel this and say, let's base address. You can see in this case, I'm only putting the website and the timestamp. I'm not specifying. So in this case, it's just like base address thing. But like this base address, like I don't want to demonstrate, I don't want to prove that I own the ADA handle. I just want to demonstrate that I own the public key. So I own the base address. That's it. Well, in this case, I just want to say I want to use the ADA handle. Let's log in. Let's go this thing back. In this case, is ADA handle best SPO. If you guys go like you want to use gimbal X amount, you could use like gimbal dash GT greater than dash a million, whatever. So the guy knows that they are signing, they're going to be authorized only if in that case. I'm talking jibber jabbering, like you know what I mean. So sign here is confirm your password, because this is a normal wallet with just like a security protected password. So this thing went very quick, but look at the bottom here. You can see that this is the data that the server sent. Then I invoked the sign data, and this is basically like I'm gonna name a word that I know all of you, including myself, hate. This is the CBOR representation of this object. Here there is the protected header, the unprotected header, the original message, the signed message, and all the trimmings, right? It's all here. And it's here. And this is what is sent to the server. The server obviously opened the package, extracted the public message, extracted the signed message, and extracted also the public key. And then basically did the verification process. Say, right, given the signed message, given the public key, can I verify that this message is consistent with the declared API key? And basically everything is fine. So the server is happy and says, right, now you're authenticated, and I'm going to be sending you back this JWT token. The JWT token, actually, you know what? Let's see if I haven't checked this in ages. JWT token inspector. Let's see what did I put into this thing. Accept. There we go. I can't remember, but yeah, look at this. One of the things that is into the JWT token is the best SPO. So now, just by using the JWT token that my backend server signed, just by using this token, I know that this guy that is now live on my website is best SPO, of which the base address is this one. Now let's go on pull PM. I'm going to be doxing my wallet. So this is the declared base address, right? And then this is the NFT token. So I doxed putting my base address, and now you're confirmed that this is indeed a wallet that contains the NFT best SPO and whose public address is address 12345. So in my case, I was just like, now this guy has signed the transaction on the backend. Now basically I am projecting his identity from the blockchain to the outside world. And in order to do so, I'm using JWT. That is a really common technology used for authenticated users. So I'm just creating a token that I can verify as a backend that I have the private key to sign this thing. So people cannot tamper with this thing. And I'm using extra data to quickly identify the user. So this is another handle, the best SPO, and this is the thing. Now, I can't remember if it would have been nice if I enhanced this UI to just say that I can recognize that the guy is the best SPO. But I'll show you something. I can still hit the public endpoint, but at this point, I can also hit the private endpoint. So about to hit the secured endpoint. Because the JWT token is here, I am authenticated against the server, the status return is 200, and the text is okay. So now I managed to get one, quote unquote, and excuse me the term again, identity. I'm using this inappropriately, but you know what I mean. I took an identity, so wallet from the on-chain. I took it off-chain. I created a secure way of granting one-to-one token mechanism between the server and the user. And now we only run the authentication once, and I can grant access with this session for an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, whatever you want, to this JWT token. And basically, this is like I entered username and password, or email and password, or whatever you want on whichever server. But I didn't do any of this. I just used my wallet to authenticate. One thing that I want to say is that if I use base address, this is a completely perfect solution. Like there is nothing else that you guys have to do. When it comes to other handle, you need to think of one specific case. And then if you use any other mechanism, you have to think what to do if I hand over this NFT to someone else. Are you going to still granting this thing the access? Are you going to be invalidating this thing? This is a consideration you have to do, because one thing that could be very clever, and I will put into the terms and condition of the use of my website, is that if you pass the other handle to someone else, that person will still be granted access to the original base address, right? Because here we have two identifiers, base address and other handle. So if I would still think, let's say that for whichever reason I want to pass my identity from one base address to another one because I don't know, my old base address got hacked or whatever. Like I just want to take this other handle. I want to pass my other handle to someone else and I want to still grant them the access to whatever I did before, whatever. Or just say that as soon as other handle leaves the wallet that owns the base address, that access is invalidated. So this is just something that there is no good or bad. There is, what do you really want to do with it? And I'll stop here. And then the next phase after questions is going to be show just a little bit the code. That is not much, but.
Every time I see it, it blows my mind in a new way. And thanks for this today, Giovanni. So who's got questions about this? I can only imagine that people's wheels are turning right now. So what questions do you have for Giovanni?
Go ahead, Chad.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Giovanni. My name is Frederic, and I've watched a few of your YouTube channel videos for the stake pool. Thanks again for the service. I have a question for this. It's good that I see the authentication of the ownership. Basically, this is the ID of somebody ascertaining that they're actually the person visiting the site. When we look at bookings, like attendance tracking, like student confirmations, I can see this as a method, for example, of validating again in a secure way, and also in a trustless way. Like you don't need to know who actually is there, but they're actually the rightful people who are expected, especially if the address can be put into some file. That is one option. But after that, will it also be possible for the person who used the site to certify that they actually attended? Because this is one way for the school, for example, but how can the person who visited the site get that CIP8 confirmation so that they can also keep it as a proof of attendance as well, like a copy or something, like to keep as a record?
If are you talking about attending exactly what, a class, like for instance?
For example, a class.
Yeah.
Like
So
the student will need a receipt.
Yeah, there is something very simple that you can do is like with the QR code, right? You can do this thing again, but with the QR code. So that signature that we've seen. Sorry, I need to log out. Oh, it's not log out, it's not working. I should have tested. In the login, right? Sorry, connect now. Login. Now in here, nothing prevents you to have the equivalent of a QR code. A QR code is a sequence of bytes, right? Yeah. And if you put imagine like you are in a class and every seat has a QR code, or there is a randomly generated QR code that encapsulates the name of the user, the date of the class, or whatever. You can use this signature mechanism, so the private key, to sign the QR code, and you know that that person was either there or someone else took a picture and sent it to the guy. So you can still mess things up, but in a nice way. You can. There are ways that you can use this signature to prove that they were there, and then in that moment, if you know what I mean. Like you can reuse exactly this feature, but with a different payload, like with a different message inside, to prove something else. Like in this case, we are proving that we are signing with these keys the sign up to this website in this specific case, but nothing prevents you to, for instance, inject a different thing that is like a QR code, class, science, day, 21st of September, time, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like you can still kind of spoof it if someone wanted to pretend, like you could take a picture, send a picture of the QR code, and someone else is going to sign it and pretend that they were there. I think you can always like mess things up. Or you can go even one step further, and you can do like with the multi-sign. if it is like really like we are talking like, and here like we're talking about some crazy stuff. Someone was arrested but is from home, and then there is the policeman that goes at the home and they want to verify that the guy at that day was at home, and they can use like a multi-signature of the police guy going with his wallet that is doing a signature, and the other guy with their signature. So you have to have the two people one after the other that they are doing this process at the same time. So if you want to make it like a soft secure, there are definitely billions different ways you can do it. If you want to do it hard secure, like you're certain that that person was there, you can go multi-sig. So you have the same message signed by two parties, and then you know that that thing will be signed twice. The first time by someone, and then signed again, just to prove the thing. I hope this makes sense.
It does, and given again for the purpose of this team, we are working on this tutoring service where confirming attendance and preventing disputes could be one way of helping this. And also thanks again. And yeah, the issue of QR code is very important, because signing a transaction on the blockchain has been something very costly. If you have to sign for each single transaction, then that becomes quite costly for people. But if you can actually sign and it's verified that it is signed, that will do for many cases. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, this is obviously, you raise a good point. I never mentioned this. You spend nothing signing this thing. You use the same technology for signing spending transaction, but you're not spending anything. I just want this thing to be, and my yes, I know that is going into the head of many people, because but you're not spending anything in this case. Very good point. Thank you.
Just as a general point, like Chanti, if we had to build a Web 2 version of an attendance tracker, it would be pretty straightforward to do that, right? And you would have a protected database with a user login where people would just get access, they'd press a button and log their attendance. So as a general rule of thumb, this gives us the ability to sign in to any Web 2 style service. Is it fair to say it that way?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the interface here is the JWT token. So the JWT token allow if any private resource, because now basically everything can, even Auth too, right? Like log in with Google, log in with Twitter, log in with this, log in with that. We could potentially do log in with Cardano, right? So and the interface, and like if you had a website that has implements the Auth 2 standard, they don't need to know that you're logging in with NAMI or with Eternal. They only understand JWT token. If you're sending a JWT token on their callback thingy, they're happy. So you could potentially merge two things together, sign up with username and password, or just sign up with token. And then at the end of the day is as I showed here, there could be like yet another piece that says sign up method, and it says Cardano, CIP8 Cardano, or email, or whatever. So, and you could have like even joined the thing. Like you can even do something like, if you want to put like twice double level security, you can do 2 steps authentication where you do sign up, log in with email, send the token to that email, take that token, put it into the message here. Oggi Nimac. Well, this is the win I'm looking for. Log in, and you can put email token 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you can cross-reference. You can be like a dual signature type of thing, email and token. So you now know that the guy owns the email and owns also the wallet. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Because we're just cleverly using the metadata here. Because like if I'm signing up with my email, unless I give you the code, who am I, idiot, to give you my code, like you can't spoof that code because that's my email. So you have like double security thing. It's like a multi-factor type of thing. So you can have a multi-factor NAMI login, NAMI and email login. Or again, phone. If you don't want to use email, you can use phone, or you can use whatever you want. Just to go back to the thing, like, you don't need necessarily a QR code, because QR code can be costly to print and to distribute, so on and so forth. But like the teacher on the whiteboard, when they start their class, they can make like a 6-digit code on the top right corner of the board. And they say, just open that page, that is the page of the training course, enter this number into the form, and then sign with your wallet. It's like you just put like this 6 or 7 digits identifier of the training course you're attending, and then just sign with it. And then this thing goes on the REST endpoint on whichever API. You can have like the log of all the people. Or you can be as you can use as much fantasy as you want. Like you can be as creative as you want. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry. Keep the questions going. I am starting to prepare my IDE to show the code, front end and back end. Please be nice with the front end code, because I'm a back end engineer. So the front end code, and I'm gonna be censoring myself, is beep, while the back end code is good. More questions?
Hi, Giovanni.
Go for it. Hello.
So I might be a lot of steps behind. I think there are lots of components at play here, but so the EDA handle thing, it's not part of the address, right? Like it's something you store in the server, the service that you're going to use, right?
So the other handle is an NFT. So the other handle itself, the NFT, in this case, is in my wallet, right? So I need an other handle NFT to be in the wallet in order to be detected. But once that this other handle has been detected, I am signing, I am making a trustless login by saying, I am this person or this address, and I am claiming I have this other handle. And this thing is going to be clearer in when I show the backend code, that I'm going off on the blockchain to check again that the NFT is in that wallet. And if that is the case, I then say, right, you're authorized. But there are two things. The first one is that the wallet needs to have the NFT inside, and that can be any NFT. That can be a chilled Kong NFT, that can be a Spacebud, because we could potentially build a website only for Spacebud's owner. I'm going crazy here, but like, whatever. Or we could create a chat only for whales. That would be a funny thing, right? You just make a signature. If you have more than 1 million EDA, you get the token and you start to talk with your other fellow whales on the website. There you go. I gave you an idea right there. So the important thing is this one. The other handle is an NFT and must be into the signing wallet. And then the backend checks that the wallet really owns that NFT. And if that's correct, this information gets packaged up in a thing that is called the JWT token. Obviously, there is a little bit of cryptography there as well. And this information gets sent back to the browser. So I'm gonna do this one more time so that it makes sense. So here I am claiming to be other handle best SPO, right? This is the claim. It says, hey, website, I am EDA handle best SPO. Sign. What I'm really saying is that I own this base address, and then I say that there is this NFT into this base address, and this is my signature. So the signature proves that I own the address, and then the address is the way to check where the NFT is. If everything is legitimate, this token is returned, and this token contains the information about my signature process. I really hope this makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So like, if we can connect to what our PPBL is doing. So it's like the credentials token sort of, right? It's giving a gateway to some sort of a service, right? Like the contributor token that we're trying to create in PPBL. Is it like that, James?
I think this question is for James.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so the very same way that Giovanni is demonstrating the use of ADA handle, you can replace ADA handle with any token. And so, for example, after course completion tokens are issued, we can make a proof of concept with this, right? Just to show that we can log into some form of privileged content here.
Got it. Thanks, Giovanni.
Yeah. And by the way, Canvas has an OAuth integration. And so down the road, that's another thing we can look at, right? We use their login page add-in structure with just email and password credentials, but something to explore in the 6 to 24 month time frame is, hey, what if to access Gimbalabs courses on Canvas, you needed a token and we implemented something like this? I see A's hand up. What's up, man?
Yo, it feels like a bit of a reunion here. It was John who was saying this yesterday and today with Gio and Roberto. It feels even more so like it. Cool. So yeah, thanks for sharing what you've been up to, Gio. What I am curious about, and we kind of spoke about this a little bit yesterday. I'm curious about whether you've thought about privacy implications, because from my sort of like early kind of thinking about this, once one has identified the wallet off of the address, say the base address and maybe the assets which are within there, you can then sort of using wallet generation, or no, address generation, you can then create an enterprise address, which then whatever incoming token or coin can sort of maybe be sent to that, right, as opposed to being sent to an address which the stake address will basically a non-enterprise, which would expose the identity of the person receiving. I'm just curious whether you've thought of something along those lines, or maybe a lot better than that, basically. But yeah, just thinking about how to think about privacy in implementing this or such ideas.
Right, this is a great question, and I think that once I spoke about this at the beginning of the presentation, then after the demo, I should have gone back to this again just to clarify things better once that everybody has an idea of what's going on. That's a really great question. So there is this one thing in technology that is like the least permission or least information criteria, right? So whenever you're doxing yourself, like, use the least amount of data that you can. Unfortunately, once that you demonstrate the ownership of a wallet, you demonstrate the ownership of everything that is within that wallet, right? And it's really up to the website that is, so in this case, it's like my little stupid application here, but I am collecting only strictly the information that you were giving me, right? So I was saying, sorry, connect, login. And here in this case, I only want to know your base address, and that's the only information I'm going to capture. Or in this case, the only information I'm capturing is the base address plus the ADA handle. But then I'm not capturing anything else. But I could be a very dodgy website, and I could basically steal or use or get all the public information associated to that website, right? To that wallet. So let's go back to my presentation. So it really depends on how well or how good you trust, how well you trust like a website. If it is a dodgy website, I would say just create a new wallet just put as little as possible inside this wallet, so a couple of ADA, and then whichever token or NFT or whatever you need just to access that service, and just use that wallet only for that thing, right? It's like a burner wallet, because this thing is only gonna be used to log in to do a specific thing on a specific server. Nothing prevents you from having 3 or 4 different wallets or sub-accounts in Eternal. And you can use one of these for doing whatever you want. Unfortunately, you cannot prevent people to collect more information, because this is public blockchain thing. If you say, I am the owner of the address 12345, whoever is getting that thing knows that you have 1 million ADA into that thing. It's just public, it's there. But if you don't trust the thing and you just want to say, I am the owner of 1 million gimbal, create a new wallet, put 1 million gimbal there, sign up the transaction, and that's all that you are disclosing. That's this answer.
Yeah.
I was talking
Yes,
with the
it does.
microphone mute.
Oh, Roberto! Look at that! When did you join? I didn't see you. Hola!
Hello, guys. Yeah, sorry, I joined late because I didn't put this in the calendar. I wanted to surprise you, and then the time passed. So yeah, and luckily there are not many wallets supporting enterprise addresses, which will allow you to provide just an address that cannot be crossed with a staking key, staking account, and get all the addresses linked to that stake account. I suppose Yoroi can do that, but I'm not sure if CIP8 it's able to ask the wallet for enterprise or regular address. Not sure how that works. So yeah, that will be a great privacy gain if we could do that. Also, when you sign a message with your keys, I'm not sure what public key is embedded into that signed message.
It actually says it's here. It says for Shelly addresses, one payment key maps to many addresses. Base, I don't know what pointer is, and then there is also enterprise. So I think that should work.
Yep.
Yeah, seems like it.
Sorry, I didn't get the enterprise part. Sorry, I never realized that you were asking specifically for the enterprise. But for the enterprise, that should work. I think there is an extension into the context. Yeah, there is this thing that is called the Causeway Object, where there are lots of, let's call them metadata about this signature process. And yeah, I never specified, but there is this thing works technically for all the wallets of all the major eras. So we're talking Byron, Shelley, and there should be compatibility also for the enterprise one. Honestly, I never tried, but just want to say that while this thing is super powerful, I think Nami has the best and latest implementation. Eternal doesn't. I don't know Yoroi, but Eternal has a different implementation. As like the payload is a little bit different. You can still do the verification, but it's a little bit more cumbersome. And I gotta be honest, I really wasn't bothered to do for that one as well. But I did the happy path for actually the Cardano serialization lib. I think is comparable with Eternal as well, straight right out of the bat. Not the Java implementation. Java implementation, I think, only works nicely with the latest version of the signature, that is the Nami one, but not with the Eternal one.
Good, that's good to know. Also, another caveat that comes to my mind is that hardware wallet currently doesn't support CIP8, so we couldn't use hardware wallet for this use case. There are a couple of reasons. One of them being the hardware wallet having limited memory, so you cannot inject any payload into the devices for them to be signed.
All right.
And then another one is that there are some concerns about, you know, sending a payload that it's actually a transaction and the user signing that payload and signing a transaction he wasn't really aware of.
Yeah,
that's an attack surface that I think should be easily mitigated, but still we cannot send like huge payloads to the devices. So
yeah, that's actually a really great point. I think wallets, they should this thing needs to be improved, and there should be some noise added into the bytes so that you can't submit this as if it was a transaction. Yeah, very valid point.
yeah, some header or something like.
Yeah.
Giovanni, I've got, you know, like I scan Twitter. I don't live there, and you know, today I was on there a lot this morning. And you know, I see so much. You know, like Sebastian. You know, he was pushing Flint Wallet sometime this morning or last night. You know, about how great it was, and I don't have an opinion about it. So I'm just asking. I don't personally like NAMI, but I'm really just a user. I'm not testing with it, or I'm not doing what y'all do with it. And I keep getting surprised at how much people stay working with NAMI, because I find it so cumbersome as a user, and that it just doesn't show me a lot. It's not very flexible. Are none of the other wallets like able to handle this stuff like this? You know, which, you know, like to me, this is, you know, kind of like really refined leading edge stuff within a wallet. And you're saying NAMI is still better than all these guys?
No. Like they all implement the CIP8, okay?
Okay.
But the CIP8 came out. There are unfortunately two different implementation of the CIP8, two flavors. So the core is the same, right? The same NAMI had the original implementation, and they upgraded to the newest one. So all the wallets they implement CIP it's the DApp connector, right? So there is a specification, but for the CIP8 there were two different implementation. The one that I know for sure is Eternal and NAMI. NAMI has the latest. Eternal, up until 6 months ago, 3 months ago, they had the previous version. So you can still use it. Absolutely. You can still use a CIP8 on every single wallet that has a DApp connector. But on the back end side, there is either it just works right off the bat, or there is a little bit of extra work that needs to be done, of which I'm not aware of what that is. Because I just wanted to prove something. I needed something to be done, and I did it with just with NAMI because it worked right off the bat. But all the wallet have it, and I would be surprised if Flint has the previous version. I don't have a Flint wallet, otherwise I would test it in front of you.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Can I jump into the code? I have an hard finish in 30 minutes, so I would be happy to start show a little bit of code.
Yeah, that's great. And as you transition over to that, just to frame this for everybody, we've done a lot of work in this course using a front-end project. And so when you run the front-end template on your computer, everybody here is pretty familiar with this local host 3000, like we can see it on Giovanni's screen. What's unique about this application is that if you run the project, and I just dropped the documentation into the chat here, you do have to run two different servers. There's the front end as usual, and there's the back end that actually takes this data and returns the JWT as Giovanni demonstrated. So this is a real turning point for us who are learning together here to be thinking about that layer of services that's in between the Cardano protocol and the front end that we've already been doing. So adding that is going to open up new questions for a lot of people. We get to see it for the first time right now, but this is something that all of us can be hacking around with and you know, trying to both use it, but also extend it. You know, we could take it upon ourselves to maybe replace block frost in here, like Giovanni mentioned, or make other tweaks to it as we see fit.
Yeah, that's very correct. Here there are two services. There is a front-end component that is the actual website. You can take it as a React app or view I used, or Next.js. And then there is like, there must be a backend side. It can be front-end, otherwise you can spoof it, inject stuff, whatever. So there must be something that is protected behind the scene that you can't mess around with. There really are 3 steps in here. The first one is like, and I'll start from the front end, that is the connect, right? Whenever I press connect Nami, all that I'm really doing is that I'm interacting with the Cardano object of the DOM, and I'm gonna ask for enabling the thing. I'm sure like you're familiar with this. And then I'm just simply interacting with the API. I'm fetching the user address so that I can take this information and send
hey, we just interrupt, sorry. I think we might only be seeing your web browser right now. So if you're showing the code.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So there must be an issue with the sharing. Yeah, I was showing my IntelliJ. There we go, share. Sorry, I thought I screen shared the full screen. Can you see IntelliJ now?
Yeah, looks good.
Oh, sorry about this, guys. So this is the basic interaction with the Cardano object of the DOM. And then here I'm enabling it. I'm sure you've seen this billions of times. The next step is to pick up the base address, and then there is a little bit of massaging of the data. But the most important thing is that I'm then hitting the backend and I'm saying, now forget this thing here, other handles. I'm just saying, get the information about this base address and then wait for the response. Basically, what it's saying here is that someone declared to be base address 123, pick up all the information available for this address. And then the results is displayed to the page. In this case, there is the base address again, the other handle, or whichever handle or NFT or whatever you want. So let's see in the backend what this actually means. So I'm going to do the whole flow. It's going to be a little bit confusing, but I think it makes sense. So this Auth, this is the Auth endpoint. And then I was hitting the other handles. Here, what I'm checking is that for this given address, give me the information for this address. And then here there is like loads of Java code for saying, is there any other handle? So this policy ID, is there any UTXO that contains any token with this monetary policy or policy ID? Then if there is nothing, the list that is returned is empty. If there is anything or something, that thing is returned. And in this case, so let's do it in real time. No, sorry, I can't do that because I can't share it. But anyway, you hit the endpoint and you would see that the other handle best SPO is returned. And this is the first step. So let's go back into the page so that we can do the full flow. There we go. And then obviously I'm selecting the other handle, so on and so forth. The message get prepared by the backend, and then I'm signing it. So I press the login button here. This is the function called login. So I need to say if the base address, if the authentication method is just the base address, do this. If the authentication method is other handle, you have to put this additional information. This base address, the token, the nonce that was returned by the web server, and the nonce is important again for avoiding replay attack. It's just a mitigation layer for replay attack, I should say. And then additional information are provided. Once that this message has been prepared, here there is like the ta-da moment that is basically when we call the signed data. And look, it's as simple as this. Signed data is just like a super simple call to a base address. Base address, you can think about it if it was the public key, and then the message to sign. because basically it's saying sign this message with this with the private key that corresponds to this public key. As simple as that. This is gonna trigger the pop-up with the signing, blah blah blah. Once you press this thing, the result is signed data. Obviously, for demonstration purposes, I am printing the signed data into the browser. You do not do this, because it's like, again, it's a vulnerability thing. Like if you're playing at home with an empty wallet, have fun. Just don't do this in front. Just send it back and then in this case, I'm sending it back to the proper Auth login endpoint. So I'm just taking the JSON representation of that pilot data, and that's it. And then obviously I'm taking the response. The response is the JWT token, or bomb out if there is an error. Excuse me, if there is an error. In the Java code, I think it's worth to just see the nonce. Guys, I'm really sorry for all the cough that I'm doing, but this cold I can't shake it off. But anyway, the nonce is exactly this one-time piece of string that I'm setting, and that you see I am saving this information into a messages queue, right? So that I keep track of all the nonces that I'm sending, so that whenever I get a login, I can check if this login is a legitimate login or isn't a replay attack. This is something very simple that can be done. You can put it on a database. This is a simple app, just keep in memory. But this can be file system, database, cloud, whatever. But keep track of this thing because it's important. And then there is the real login. Here, you see there is the login object. There is the get signed data. Now, in the Java library, as well as the Cardano centralization lib, there is literally a method that you call and does the verification for you. There we go. Verify. That's all you have to do. And then this returns a Boolean. As simple as that. All the magic done for you behind the scene. So this tells you returns true if everything is fine, or false if there is a problem into the verification. And if obviously this is true, you just return the code. Otherwise, you say unauthorized. This should really have read not bad request, but unauthorized. As simple as that. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, figuring this thing out the first time, painful. But then once you put it down and then you go through the code a couple of times, especially if you sleep about the 2 times, this is going to all make sense to you. And the JavaScript Rust code, I don't want to say it's the same, but is extremely similar. And for those of you that have been using the Cardano serialization lib, I'm pretty sure this is going to look very, very straightforward once that you look into that.
I'm going to watch those last 5 minutes several times with a few sleeps in between to make sure that I get it all.
But like this thing, just if you deploy, it just works. The only thing you need is and I'm sorry to say the bad word again, BlockFrost API key. You only have to put the BlockFrost API key in this thing. I'm going to be deleting mine, but like just put the BlockFrost API key here, and then there is a README. Like, oh no, sorry, that's the wrong README. There are 2 READMEs. One is wrong. Oh, sorry, there is a how to run. You can't go wrong with that. Run the backend with this and run the front end with that. Done. And then just like put breakpoints, put logs, system out, println, whatever, and then you can follow the log. It just should work just straight out, but this is fun. And if you want to change a token, it's very simple into the login controller, and you want to use like a different policy. Just change the policy as policy ID, monetary policy, not the full fingerprint or whatever. If you want to customize with your website, just put the URL here, but just be careful because the origin is still going to read the localhost 3000. So there is only that much that you can do. And then the funny thing another thing that I would recommend to check is the JWT service, right? So you can see that I stuffed the JWT token with the base address that is always there, obviously, because that's the public key, and then the ADA handle, right? So you can put whichever other information you want. So if you want the user to enter some stuff that then you want to email, you can inject as a claim into the JWT, you can put an email or whatever you want. So you can add additional information as part. So the JWT token is this thing that at every request you will see. So these are all the meta information about the user that you might need. If the base address is all that you need, or the ADA handle is all that you need, happy days. But if there is anything else about the user you need at every single API call, it can be a user ID, it can be an email, whatever. You just, in this builder, you say with claim, claim name, claim value. And yeah, just play with it. There is that JWT inspector website. So whatever JWT token you have, just open your browser, take all the JWT token you have, go on the website and check what's inside it. Just remember also to log out and log in back again, because again, that's a vulnerability thing. So you don't want to give your JWT token left, right, and center, but you know what I mean. And that's it. That's it. I promise I use the block frost for the bare minimum. That is just like basically give me the UTXO for this wallet. In fact, it's only the address service.
Oh, nice. Okay, I was going to ask. So what we needed to get the UTXOs at a given address.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm using that for.
Yeah.
How can I open the file? There we go. So that's the only API call. Get address service and get address info. Now, this gives you obviously everything. I want to say everything for that address, but I might be wrong. I don't know. You have to play with this as well. So if it is at a different derived address, I don't know if this one returns, but specific address. Yeah, look, I'll leave it up to the student. I always dream to say
no,
that.
this fits in perfectly. So one of the challenge assignments right now is to take a Koios query and rewrite it as GraphQL. And thanks again to Nelson for leading us in a conversation about that. There's a recording of that up for anybody who wants to take a look at that. But that's one of the reasons we're doing that assignment, is to empower everybody here. When you see a given query from a given service, just to be able to replace it is a nice skill to have. And so this is definitely something we can play with, jumping off from that assignment. The Martify guys have been through the same thing recently, because they started out with the block frost integrations and one by one have been replacing them with either Koios or GraphQL. And it's been really nice to kind of see that service become that much more accessible. And on that note, just one more note for learners. Giovanni mentioned a few times the serialization libraries. Some of those methods are abstracted away because of what Mesh is providing for us. So one thing, anybody who's interested in going deeper and customizing an instance of this Web3 auth mechanism, if you run into moments where you see, a serialization library call and it doesn't quite look familiar, that's likely going to be one of the reasons for that, is because Mesh is designed to do some of that heavy lifting for us. But that's a deeper dive exploration that we can do in the weeks to come for anybody who's interested. What do you think, eh?
Yeah, awesome stuff. Just a quick question: where is the Java running in this case?
So in my case, everything was running on my laptop. Okay, so I just launched two processes. One is the React server or the Vue server, and on the other one is the Java server. If for instance you were using the Cardano serialization lib and you had a Next.js, and this is the recommendation, yeah, if you want to go live with something like this, unless you're super fluent in Java, and I really hope you're not, it's much better to be a JavaScript React expert because it's much better. So you can do a Next.js application that has both, it's all packaged up with both front end and back end, and you can deploy on Vercel, and Vercel gives you this very nice split between the front end and the back end. So you have one project that does both of them, and I would strongly recommend put into the so-called API submodule of the Next.js project the Cardano serialization lib to do this thing, because it's the it's the best way. Like zero deployment worries is the Cardano serialization lib. That is the first thing that gets always updated. Otherwise, in my case, but like I am a Java nerd, and like I do the Java library and I deploy it onto the cloud. And it's like a super tiny project. It's like 100 lines of code, but like that for me is, I can do that while I'm sleeping because of the many years of experience. Obviously, if you're starting from scratch, I would go like take the easy path, that is JavaScript, Next.js, Vercel, API project, and the front end, all packaged up nicely for you. You have to do zero configuration. So like if you do like Next.js startup, like in 30 seconds, you have exactly the split that I'm talking about. In 60 seconds, you have it deployed on Vercel. And in a minute and a half, this thing is running. And you can forget about it. And then you have like the front-end component that is basically the dynamic page talking to localhost /API/, and then you're sending your CBOR, you're getting your nonce, you're doing all these beautiful things. And that thing is securely deployed somewhere so that nobody can stuff information in. And it's absolutely the best way of getting this thing done.
Cool.
Or
Awesome.
we host a
Thanks.
generic version on Dandelion.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, especially in the context of running Java on a sort of back end, like or services, it makes sense, especially like microservices. Yeah, it would make sense to sort of do something like that, I think. Exactly. Now we're talking.
Yeah, nothing. You see, I can't remember where I was talking about this. I think I was talking with Mani, the guy from what's his name again? Cardano Fan, the SPO. I think he's your colleague, Roberto.
Matthews, yeah.
Matthews, there you go. I was talking, we were on one of these, what's it called? Friday Cardano developers Slack meeting, whatever. And we were talking about doing a single sign-on type of thing with the Cardano serialization lib, and then everybody could basically hook up with that. There were a couple of concerns, and as well as the concern you raised, obviously, there were a couple of concerns from Satya as well. But like once that you get over those things, if you grab 3 or 4 brains together, you can definitely have like a compliant Auth to mechanism developed with the. But guys, I haven't said another thing. Like this is a super cheap, inexpensive, and quick way of voting. I don't know if you ever thought about this. You can vote with this thing. You can cast a vote. If the metadata you're signing is the value of the ballot, right? You can vote with this thing. And obviously, because you're doxing your wallet, if ownership of a certain amount of token is the power of the vote, there you have it. The only thing is that the vote is going to be public, or it's going to be trust. It's Like you have to say it depends on the, well, like a Sunday swap vote was public as well. Or can be as private as secure is the backend you're implementing. So if you say, guys, well, voting, like if you trust who's collecting the votes, that they're not gonna release this thing, but yeah.
I cannot say more than maybe there's gonna be some CIP8 voting solution release sometime soon.
You not say.
But yeah, it's being worked on, relying on CIP8, maybe Merkle trees as Sunday swap. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a blog post. I think I saw something from Sundays. Yeah, I don't know if it was just a hint or the anyway. So yeah, and that's one of the things, right? So voting is like if you're not electing the president of the United States, but you're only deciding which pizza or which restaurant 5 of you are going on a Saturday night, that could be a really fun project to do. Let's vote with our Cardano wallets. Or if Gimbalabs is running any internal voting, whatever, yeah, you could do this.
The Cardano Summit is coming up, so you know we can do some interesting votes on that.
So I don't want to put pressure. 8 minutes. That's my cutoff time. Unfortunately, I'm really sorry about this, but yeah, I need to look after the kids as well and the family, or my wife is gonna kill me.
Oh man!
And I'm happy to put this on record.
Thank you so much for this time today. This is really exciting, and you know, I already have like a list of next things I want to try, and if anybody here feels the same way, just know that, you know, we have a chance to play with this thing. We have a safe space to experiment with it, whether it's talking about what kind of pizza we're going to eat or just some kind of simple decisions around here. This is a really fun opportunity for us to get to play around with this. So Giovanni, thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for building something great.
No problem at all. This was started and finished here in Gimbalabs, so it's like the circle of life, the circle of Cardano. What did I want to say? I am happy for you to go off and do your own stuff, but if you ever hit some roadblockers or whatever, I am fairly sure that there are a few funny things that can be done and I can help with very quickly. So if you ever have questions, doubts, whatever, just hit me up. I'll be more than happy to help. Either I can update the code or show you the way. And if it's gonna take too long, I'll just say it's gonna take too long. But yeah, I think I should be able to help, especially if you just want to play with different tokens, amount, quantities, whatever. That should be something very straightforward that can be tweaked. I can branch off something and we can have some fun.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, Giovanni. It's good to see you again. I really appreciate it.
No, bro, I'm happy to be here. And good luck for the Catalyst if you went for it. It's going to be tough this time around. It's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
Fun 10. Yeah, just a quick question, Gio. Have you thought about applying something like this in the context of Stakeboard?
That's a really good question. Unfortunately, I parted ways with the team. I'm not working with them anymore. But the login, this type of login will be part of Argus NFT. For users will be able to log in with username and password or with this.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for that.
Cool. So don't want to keep you away from your fam, my friend. So thanks for hanging out for as long as you could. Just for everybody else, we meet same time tomorrow for a more traditional kind of Q&A session from PBL. I know that people have questions about the Vassal hard fork, so let's focus on that tomorrow and talk about the status of the different things we're building, both in regards to the Plutus that we're writing and how that's testable, but also when we're going to be able to play with it on the front end on different networks. So we'll touch on all of that. And I'll upload this video later today with a list of possible explorations for everybody. You know, and for me, that's a note to myself for things I want to pick up as we wrap the course and just go into a period of collaborating and making cool stuff. So looking forward to all that. Giovanni, thanks again, and thanks everybody for being here today.
Thank you, James. It was very fun.
We'll have you back in like 2 or 3 months for Dandelion PBL, where we talk about, you know, building out those authentication mechanisms for Dandelion services, and that could be a fun time for us to bring our specific questions to you as well.
I really hope so, man. Looking forward to it. That'll be fantastic.
Good things. All right. Cheers,
Have a
everybody.
good one. Have a good evening.
Enjoy the rest
Bye-bye.
of your day.
You guys, see you soon.